How's it going, everybody? Thank you for checking my channel and welcome to today's video. Today is the fourth and final part of the series covering the top Aura Runewords in Diablo 2 Resurrected. If you've missed any of the prior parts that I've already covered, make sure to go check the card in the corner up above so that way you guys can get caught up and to know where the Runewords that I've already mentioned are placed on this list, because today is going to be the last 5 of the top Aura Runewords, and this is where it's going to get really interesting, and it is incredibly difficult to be able to compare these side by side to see where they deserve the spots on the list that they're at. Before jumping into the Runewords themselves, I'm going to go over the criteria for which I use to be able to compare them side by side, so that way you guys can understand where it is I'm coming from as far as a base solid foundation to be able to compare them to one another. We're going to be judging these Runewords based upon 5 different levels of criteria, and the first one's going to be the rune cost, to see if it is actually worth the runes to be able to get the stats and the aura to be able to benefit your character. The second is going to be the flexibility within the bases that you'd be able to use to see if it would be something that is more specific to a character, can be given to a mercenary, or a combination of both. The third thing is going to be the aura itself, to see if the aura is going to be really beneficial for not only the character that you're going to be playing, the mercenary you're going to be using, or the stats on the actual Runeword, which is the fourth criteria, which is going to be the stats additionally to the aura to see if they mesh well together, or if it is something that is going to be specific for using just the aura or just the stats themselves. And the last but not least criteria is going to be the builds to actually be able to use these Runewords, to see if they're going to be something that is more towards a niche type of build, or to something that everyone will benefit from in the exact same way. Now, as I cover the criteria for each one of the Runewords, I'm only going to be spending maybe about 2 to 3 minutes per Runeword, because anything longer than that would be better suited for an individual video to talk about every aspect of the Runeword itself. However, in this video, I'm going to be going over just the most important parts of each one of the Runewords when it comes to comparing them to all the other Runewords on this list. And along with that, I will be showing not only the stats on screen, but I will be showing the gameplay to be able to give you guys a good example as to what it looks like in action. That way you guys get a full understanding as to how these are not only going to look when it comes to using them with builds, but how they're going to be as far as being able to help with your clear speed, with your survivability, and also just how they're going to be able to benefit your character as well as your mercenary if they're able to do so. Let's go ahead and do a comment shout out for this video, and today's is going to be Paul, but unfortunately I have to apologize. I'm not even going to try to pronounce your last name because I guarantee you I'm going to butcher it no matter how hard I try. Who commented on my how to separate the Ubers and survive an Uber system much easier video, saying thanks, this was very helpful. Trying to put together a solo Sorf Uber run and wanted to trap Mephisto for last. I want to say good luck, and I hope you get an amazing torch. With all that said, let's get into the video.
Not even death can save you from me.
Greetings, mortal. I knew you would find your way back here.
We're in the final top 5 of the Aura Runewords in Diablo 2 Resurrected, where this was my biggest challenge of this entire series, to be able to find out which ones are actually deserving of the top 5 spot, because the ability to be able to compare them side by side and say which one deserves the number 5 spot all the way to number 1, the margin of the difference in which one is actually better than one another is so incredibly small, because they're all so very powerful and useful in their own ways, that even up to the recording of this right now, I did not have the finalized version of the list, but now I finally do, and I feel very confident with where I actually place these Runewords. So let's go ahead and start with the number 5 spot on my list. Coming in at the number 5 spot is a weapon of choice for those wanting to make an Ice or Frost Maiden. Ice. This missile weapon Runeword, much like the rest of the items on this build, is very expensive, costing a jaw and a low for 2 of the 4 runes needed to roll this Runeword. This cold specific Runeword has 100% chance to cast level 40 Blizzard when you level up, 25% chance to cast level 22 Frost Nova on striking, 20% increased attack speed, varying 140 to 210% enhanced damage, ignore target defense for non-boss and champion enemies, varying 25 to 30% boost to cold skill damage, 7% life stolen per hit, negative 20% to enemy cold resistance, 20% deadly strike, and some extra gold fine based on character level. Already a good mix of damage and crowd control, especially with the Frost Nova proc going off very frequently. And if rolled in an Amazon specific bow, to be able to get the additional plus to bow and crossbow skills to boost up the skills you'll be using with this Runeword. Adding the level 18 Holy Freeze aura when equipped allows for even better crowd control, especially because the aura allows for the effect to work on cold immune enemies that don't have their chill set to 0, the monsters listed here. The build using this Runeword is incredibly expensive, but for those wanting a very powerful cold damage build, this can be very fun and sweep areas on lower player settings with good clear speed. Having the new Mist Runeword biting at the heels of this Runeword for what could be the shift in meta for the Ice and Frost Maiden. Being that Aquan mercenaries can now use Amazon specific bows, this could be something to give to them in one of them aside from a great bow for the fastest IAS if paired with a cold rogue and wanting to use boazons for both your character and your mercenary. However, this is usually paired with an Infinity Mercenary to be able to help lower the resistance of enemies even lower to make the damage of this Runeword even greater. A niche build that is very costly, but for those wanting to play something different than a caster or melee character. you could justify the rune cost if rolled really well. For all things considered, Ice comes in at the number 5 spot on my list. Number 4 spot on this list is one of the only rune words that everyone agrees just needs to be made as soon as possible in Nightmare difficulty during a regular playthrough, regardless of the base, even if it's in a non-ethereal one. This is one of the first lower level rune words that so many players would say makes their caster characters feel more powerful, as the necessity of using mana potions so often, or even at all depending on your build, can go out the window, and especially for the sorceress, allows her to be able to teleport through the game very quickly. So pretty much the first few hours of every ladder for those wanting to be part of the world's first club. Insight offers a lot for how relatively cheap and easy the runes are to get. All but one of the runes can be farmed from normal Countess, with the soul rune being the expensive one of the 4, being able to be queued up if enough runes are collected, or can get it to drop early in Nightmare. Before, with the stats compared to the bases that would be able to use it, being polearms and staffs despite absolutely nobody rolling them in a staff. It seemed as though this would be most ideal in a bow for a Boazon to use or an actual mercenary, but thankfully with patch 2.4, this can now be rolled in bows, more ideally in an Amazon specific bow to make use of the plus to bow and crossbow skills. The most notable stats are the 35% faster cast rate, varying 200 to 260% enhanced damage, varying 180 to 250% bonus to attack rating, varying plus 1 to 6 to critical strike, 5 to all attributes, and a boost to magic find. The only reason people want this rolled as soon as possible in Nightmare is because of the varying level 12 to 17 meditation aura when equipped, as it helps with replenishing your mana, and for caster characters such as a Hammerden, a Sorceress, and even a Bone or Corpse Explosion Necro, having their mana be supplemented aside from just using potions helps to take their builds to the next level and makes getting through the game much easier. This rumor starts to lose its effectiveness as the player builds up their clear speed, as having the mana replenishment helps with spamming skills that would be needed when they aren't as effective early on compared to endgame use, to which then Insight becomes out of sight for something more sought after with the actual mercenary. But again, with this now being able to be rolled in bows, I can see this rumor getting a lot more use, especially as the Boazon lives off mana as they progress through Nightmare and possibly even into Hell difficulty. Not only does Insight cost close to nothing compared to the remaining rune words on this list, but with how sought after this is once entering Nightmare difficulty for giving boost to both your mercenary, but more so towards your character, Insight set its sights on being at the number 4 spot on this list. At the number 3 spot is a rune word that is exactly as the name implies, a beast. Despite the hefty price tag of a Burr rune as the highest costing rune, followed with 3 mid runes that would take quite a bit to find, what you get in return is a rune word with all of what melee characters want in an endgame item, for which this rune word rolls in axes, hammers, and scepters, despite them most rolling in one of 2 types of bases, with 40% increased attack speed, a varying 240 to 270% enhanced damage, 20% chance of crushing blow, 25% chance of open wounds, varying 25 to 40 to strength, and level 13 summon grizzly charges for an extra meat shield if you need it. What else can make this rune word better? Turning any character who wields this into a bear by having plus 3 to werebear and plus 3 to lycanthropy. On top of that, it also has a level 9 fanaticism aura while equipped, which helps to boost your attack speed, damage, and attack rating. This is where I'll go over what I've mentioned before about the 2 types of bases. This is rolled in either a low requirements type of base for the aforementioned axes, hammers, or scepters, or is put into the best base possible, such as a berserker axe for the highest one-hand damage weapon. If put into a low requirement base, this would be used for nothing more than the fanaticism aura, such as with the summon Necro. The fanaticism aura would give the summons a boost to their damage, attack rating, and attack speed. Unfortunately, only a fraction of what the Necro would be getting, but not actually utilizing as a support character, as fanaticism gives 100% of the level's bonuses to the wielder, and the rest of the party gets a percentage of the level's benefit. However, if rolled in a better, more ideal damage dealing base, the wielder gets the full benefit and will utilize the remaining stats to go along with it, making the character a true beast even before shapeshifting, and helping to tailor the build towards increasing the crushing blow or to help with survivability. Opens up the item options to help boost resistances such as using Fortitude or Chains of Honor instead of using Enigma if primarily wanted to be in werebear form, but that's only if the wielder wants to actually use this as the weapon that they're going to be attacking with when shapeshifted. If wanting to use a different weapon, such as a Griswold Caddy, I suggest just rolling this with a low requirement base, but do understand that you will be losing the fanaticism benefit. This is why it's hard to rank this rune word, as it's very possible to use this rune word in a werebear form to benefit from everything on the rune word. However, many seem to use this either to support their summons or to switch to werebear and then switch to a faster weapon. But if deciding to do so as they don't have another weapon that's best in slot, you get a lot of the beneficial stats that most would want in a melee weapon. And the fanaticism aura for support characters doesn't hurt at all either, except for whoever you're going to be reenacting the Revenant with, making your army as unstoppable as the werebear is an unstoppable force of nature. However, do keep in mind, for an effective werebear build using this weapon, dual dreams are needed. So this build is just going to cost you an arm and a leg, leaving you in even worse shape than my boy Wirt. Either way, this rune word is a beast. This was a very hard choice on where to put this rune word, but eventually it made the most sense to put it at the number 3 spot on this list. With the number 2 spot, I'm a little biased towards this rune word as, aside from Infinity, this is probably my most commonly used rune word on all my characters for the aura alone, costing you nothing but high runes, 2 Vex runes, a low rune, and closing it out with a jaw rune. With something so expensive, one would hope that the stats would make up for it, and they do, especially when considering how many different bases can be used. Phoenix can be rolled into weapons and shields, making this usable for so many different builds. With the 40% chance to cast level 22 Firestorm on striking, varying 350 to 400% enhanced damage, negative 28% to enemy fire resistance, varying 350 to 400 defense against missiles, and varying 15 to 21 fire absorb, all being able to be rolled regardless of the base. It's easy to see why this rune word already has a lot to offer the wielder. Now for weapons, it comes with ignore target's defense for non-boss and champion enemies, 14% mana stolen per hit, and 20% deadly strike. For shields, plus 5% to max lightning resistance, and plus 10 to max fire resistance. On top of that, Phoenix comes with a varying level 10 to 15 redemption aura when equipped, meaning that after a monster dies, not including bosses, you have the ability to get back health and mana. This rune word is a great balance of damage and survivability, more so seen in shields or bows to be able to help bring up the damage for a fire boson. There's very little to actually say badly about this rune word. With the introduction to new level 85 areas and many having few if no fire immunes, this potentially could be used more in shields for fire sorcerers to be able to make their damage even higher, as their areas to farm were very limited when going through their holy grail. If anything, having this on your characters for the aura alone would help greatly with survivability. Like the phoenix that rises from the ashes, this rune word rose up the ranks of this list and landed itself at the number 2 spot. Wow, what a surprise that what landed at number 1. This rune word is one of the 2 rune words most considered the endgame.
It's the end game. We're in the end game now.
As what this rune word helps to open up for so many different builds can be the difference in playing other builds aside from the sorceress and just sticking with the sorceress. Yes, this is a very costly rune word, requiring Bur Mal Bur Is, but for anyone who uses this, a price worth paying to make the possibilities of different builds farming different areas possible. Prior only being able to be rolled in polearms, but with patch 2.4 now introducing being able to roll this in spears and Amazon spears, the use of this rune word now opens up even more than it already was. With the stats including 50% chance to cast level 20 chain lightning when you kill an enemy, 35% faster run walk, a varying 255 to 325% enhanced damage, varying negative 45 to negative 55 to enemy lightning resistance, 40% chance of crushing blow, plus to your vitality based on your character level, level 21 cyclone armor charges if you want a little bit of extra help when staying alive. Where this rune word really shines is the level 12 conviction aura when equipped, which helps reduce both the defense and the resistances of enemies, except for poison, physical, and magic resistances. Even if this rune word's enhanced damage roll was anti-perfect, it will still be used by at least the mercenary. And the big reduction to resistances allows for builds that prior had issues with enemy resistances are now viable in different areas. However, do keep in mind that some of the resistances can't be broken easily or at all with just this rune word as mentioned prior. With the bases now opened up to spears, including Amazon specific spears, for the Amazon to make a spearzon much more viable and fun to play and reaping the plus to javelin and spear skills on the bases, especially with your character using this item to now benefit and get the additional negative lightning resistance to enemies compared to not having that when your mercenary would be using it. It allows your mercenary to be able to use a new option when it comes to a weapon. Already being a game changer before, now is opening up to even more potential builds to become not only more fun, but more viable in Diablo 2 Resurrected, with infinite possibilities opened up from this rune word. Despite the insane cost, this rune word will always be a very sought after and very rewarding rune word to finally roll and to see just how powerful your build can truly become. Going through all 20 of the different rune words, in the end, Infinity rightfully claims the number 1 spot on this list. And that's going to be it for the video. But not only that, just this entire series covering the top rune words in Diablo 2 Resurrected. And again, those last 5 were the hardest to be able to decide which one deserves the number 1 spot, all the way down to the number 5 spot and everything in between, because they are all so incredibly powerful and useful in their own ways. Some of them have multiple different uses, which makes it even harder to be able to judge them from one another. But hopefully you guys enjoyed the ride and were able to see why I particularly picked the number 1 spot versus the number 5 spot, all the way to the 20th spot for this entire series. And if you guys feel any type of way as far as if you agree with me or you feel that the rune word should be placed in different orders, let me know down in the comment section below, because I'd love to know what your guys' thoughts are on the top rune words in Diablo 2 Resurrected. If you like this kind of content, want to see more, hit the subscribe button and hit the bell notification to be notified whenever a new video comes out. And if you enjoyed this video, please let me know by leaving a like. Also, make sure to check the card in the corner up above so that you guys can see more of my Diablo 2 Resurrected content, with a lot more coming in the very near future. Other than that, hope we're all staying safe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.